This is Money, Motivation, and Mike, and I am your host, Michael Wainwright. In charge of the show on the other end of the table is Jason Wright, and hello to you, world. This is the show that can and will change your life. Told you we're going to get into some shorter documentaries of individuals and events, etc. And today, of course, I get to choose these topics, Jason, and some of the people that I really like along the way. And I was able, at the early years of my life, the first 8 years of my life, to get to experience the Elvis Presley craze.
Oh yeah?
Yes.
You was in on that?
I was 8 years old when he died. So, which, by the way, was August the 16th, 1977. I'll get into that here momentarily. But when you talk to some of these old timers about Elvis Presley concerts, you've never heard more people talk about people fainting at a concert.
Yeah.
Just falling to the ground with the emotion of being in the presence of Elvis Aaron Presley. Incredible. And it's
never seen anything like that.
They've never have, and I don't know that we ever will.
Yes.
You know, if this Taylor Swift stuff for the last couple of years couldn't get there, I don't know who can. And I've always said Elvis Presley and Michael Jackson, the two greatest songers, performers, musicians ever. And Elvis's daughter, Lisa Marie, married Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Never had a child. And I always wanted them to have a child. That's just the best of all worlds, isn't it? Could have been.
Think so.
Elvis Aaron Presley, January the 8th, 1935 in Tupelo, Mississippi. You talk about I wouldn't call it a shack, but it was a shack. 10 foot wide, 30 foot deep. That was his house.
It's not very big.
Nope. And the most important person to him in his world was his mother, which died at a young age, just like Elvis did as well. But moving on to what people really want to know about, which was his music. Elvis began his music career in 1954 at Sun Records. Think about this. Presley on guitar, accompanied by lead guitarist Scotty Moore, with him a long time, and bassist Bill Black. And they had country, they had rhythm and blues, and they really attracted to the African American youth. Interesting. Now, what really hurts me is his first original band did not have a drummer. And for those of you who don't know, I love drummers. 1955, a year later, before DJ Fontana, the drummer, joined to complete the lineup for Presley. At this time now, he's getting Tom Parker, the Colonel. You know, that was his manager, which most people also said was to his detriment. Yes. And it definitely was in the 1960s, which I'll get to here momentarily. But Presley's first RCA single was Heartbreak Hotel, released January 1956, and it became the number one hit in the U.S. immediately. And within a year, RCA Records had sold 10 million singles of Heartbreak Hotel. One song. Below 45, Jason.
Incredible.
Not an album.
Yeah.
Just one song. And I did have a roundabout here I do remember putting the little yellow little deals there in the middle of the 45s, putting them on to the pedestal, putting your bringing your needle over to do the music.
Yeah.
I have listened to music that way. I don't think you have.
Not on my own accord, no.
Presley became the leading figure of the newly popular rock and roll, and through his performance style and promotion of the then marginal sound of African Americans, led him to being widely considered a threat to the moral well-being of white American youth. Incredible. Elvis Presley, thought of early on as a degrading musician to white American youth. November 56, because Elvis made a lot of movies. November 56, Presley made his first film debut, Love Me Tender, which was also a song.
Yep.
And then, fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to say it, he got derailed because he was then drafted into military in 1958. And I don't know, there's been many shows. And during that show, somebody will get drafted into the military, and the guy will say, I can't go to the military. I'll do this. And they'll usually say, son, we drafted Elvis Presley. We'll draft anybody. which is a true fact.
Yeah.
And so he went to service for 2 years. Now, he had a life-changing event while he was in the military. And that is his mother's death. In early August of 1958, Presley's mother was diagnosed with hepatitis. There was a time when we couldn't deal with hepatitis. And her condition rapidly worsened. Presley was granted emergency leave to visit her and arrived in Memphis, where they lived, which eventually becomes Graceland, on August the 12th. 2 days later, she died of heart failure at age 46. Of course, Presley was devastated and never was the same. They were extremely, extremely close. Even into till the day she died, into his adulthood. It was a very, very good relationship that obviously became to an end at a very young age. Now, age 46 is also the age that our grandfather died.
Yes.
The grandfather that we're named after. Moving right along after that time, then of course we go into the 1960s, which is Presley's famous films, including Jailhouse Rock, 1957, Blue Hawaii, 1961, and frankly, one of my favorite, Viva Las Vegas, 1964. Have you seen any of these shows?
Yeah, actually I have, but I was so young watching them.
Of course, they were all musicals in essence. 1968, he returned to the stage in the acclaimed NBC television comeback special called Elvis. And it was one of the, it may have been the top, but I'm not going to say that because I'm not for certain, but I know it was one of the top 3 watched shows ever in the history of television when he had his comeback called Elvis in 1968. And from that took him to Vegas, where he became Mr. Vegas, which in essence, he replaced the Rat Pack in the late 1960s. And then Elvis went on into the 70s, and then he was replaced by Wayne Newton. Now, they've got all kinds of acts that come and go out there all the time.
Yeah.
But that group of the Rat Pack and then Elvis and then Wayne Newton, those are iconic names that will be around on billboards and street signs forever. Here's something I did not know, because Elvis was also a gospel singer. He's in the Gospel Hall of Fame.
Did not know that.
He's in the Gospel Hall of Fame, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and the Country and Western Hall of Fame.
I knew about the rock and roll. I didn't know about the other 2.
Yes. And there's only one other person that has ever accomplished that.
Oh, yeah? Johnny
Cash.
Okay.
Johnny Cash is in all 3 as well. They're Assembly of God, the Presley family was. Did not know. His beat reminds me of a lot of Baptist hymns, but he grew up in the Assembly of God church, and obviously that's where it all kind of started, as it does for a lot of people in that church choir. Now, you'll find this interesting, that Elvis was not popular in school. And he has a quote, I wasn't popular in school. I failed music. He failed music class.
Imagine that.
Only thing he ever failed was music class. Then he entered a talent contest, and when he came on stage, he could hear the kids giggling and laughing and rumbling and whispering, because nobody knew he even sang. It was amazing how popular he became in the school after that talent show, because everybody found out Elvis Presley could sing. He went from a nobody to an everybody overnight. Yes, sir. And did you know Elvis could not read music?
No.
Elvis could not read music.
Well, he failed music class, so I guess that makes sense.
He played by ear. And the way he taught himself is he frequent record stores, listened to jukeboxes, and back then they were like listening booths. You get in a listening booth, pick your song, and listen to it.
I've seen that.
And that's how he trained himself to be a musician. Now, this is interesting. A person that really thought a lot of Elvis was Milton Berle. And this is the old Milton Berle show back in the, actually at that time was back in the 60s. So he goes on the Milton Berle show, and Milton Berle persuaded him to not take his guitar onto stage and leave it backstage. And so he goes out there, and Presley starts singing, but then he abruptly halts the tempo. And you can see him going back and forth and kind of slurring like, that he does. He's singing Hound Dog. He ain't nothing but a hound dog.
Yeah.
And he slows it down there and goes into it. And then, and this is the words they used, he started exaggerating body movements. And we know exactly what he was doing. And it was called, it was grinding version was also a word that they were using back then. And Elvis, sometimes when Elvis come on TV, they did not show him below the waist.
Yeah.
I mean, that's provocative stuff. I mean, you probably go to hell for watching stuff like that.
Exactly.
Okay. So get this. This is what the New York Times wrote after his Milton Berle appearance. Now remember, this is NBC Hollywood Studios. They don't just put goofballs out there. But this is New York Times. Jack Gold. Mr. Presley has no desirable singing ability. His phasing, if it can be called that, consists of stereotyped variations that go with a beginner's aurora in a bathtub. His one specialty is his accelerated movement of the body, primarily identified with the repertoire of blood bombshells at burlesque runways. That's what he said about Elvis Presley's Milton Berle experience. He basically was doing his lower body parts to take your attention off his awful singing abilities. That was the whole gist behind that. Wonder what Jack Gold's family thinks this day about Mr. Gold's comments about Mr. Presley back there in the Milton Berle days.
Missed the mark a little bit?
Yes, I believe he did. Back on this Elvis comeback from 1968, which I told you was a very, very popular watched show. And now his only child, Lisa Marie Presley, who, by the way, has just died here in the last couple of years. Another tragic thing. Now, his wife, his former wife, they were only married for 6 years, 1967 to 1973, Priscilla Presley, still alive. Lisa Marie she's born the same year. She's 10 months older than me, Jason. Lisa Marie Presley is.
Okay.
She's born February 1st, 1968, and that was during a period when, frankly, Elvis had grown very unhappy with his career. Now, here's the reason why. Elvis is a singer, and back in the 50s and into the 60s, all the money was in Hollywood. You didn't hop on these semi-buses that look like $1 million hotels on the inside and go from city to city and play in front of 20,000 people every night. That was back in the nightclub days, the high school auditorium show days. You didn't have Madison Square Garden type venues to go and perform in. The money was in movies. It was in acting. So that's where the Colonel Tom Parker went and made Elvis a deal to do, I believe, 10 movies. And he virtually spent the 1960s in Hollywood instead of his love and passion of singing. So you could see here why he was very unhappy. And also his acting abilities were questionable at best. and he probably came off in his eyes, and this is what he said, more of a goofball than a serious actor. You go back and watch those shows, there's a little acting in it, and what do they do most? They go into music, where he can sing.
Yeah.
Which is what it was all about. And, basically that hindered his music. And get this, between January 1967 and May of 1968, he only charted 2 hits in the top 40, none higher than 28. And 3 of his 6 albums only made it into the top 40. This is Elvis Presley stuff. Elvis Presley.
Mm-hmm.
Not being able to put music in the top 40. Because, let's just take a George Strait. George Strait comes out with a song.
Yeah.
A bad song. It's number 1 by next week.
Most likely.
Yeah. Elvis was not making that happen back in those days. But, of course, the Elvis Presley comeback. Have you ever watched it? He's in that black suit on that little stage, surrounded by people on all 4 sides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a pretty popular scene.
That is the comeback. That is, like I say, Elvis is going to be on TV in 6 months. He's going to be on TV in 4 months. I mean, it was a countdown. It was a big, huge thing, this Elvis special. December the 3rd, 1968. Now, I'm just coinciding here. December 3rd, 1968, that show came out. And 26 days later, I was born. Just a coincidence. I don't know what that means, but I just want to throw that out free of charge. So now Elvis, as we move into the 1970s, you got to remember we're coming out of Vietnam here. It's Woodstock. It's hippie days. Not happy days. It's hippie days.
Yeah.
Elvis Presley, on December the 21st, 1970, engineered a meeting with President Richard Nixon at the White House. Wants to go to the White House, where he explained to the president how he believed he could reach out to the hippies to help combat the drug culture that had been taking over America. He and the president made a pact. He asked Nixon for a Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs badge, making him an official sanctioning body for his efforts. Nixon obliged. And Nixon apparently found the encounter to be good because he expressed a belief that Presley could send a positive message to young people, and that it was therefore important that he retain his credibility as a singer, now as a narcotics drug enforcement badge officer, even though he wasn't. And Richard Nixon gives Elvis Presley credit for starting narcotics going down. How about that?
I like it.
I like it too. I don't know if it's true. Of course, Dick Nixon here in the next couple of years, wonder if Elvis was part of that Watergate thing.
I doubt it. Surely not.
You don't think he was involved in that deal?
Surely not.
Okay. All right. Well, as we come to the end of Elvis Presley, August 16th, 1977, Presley scheduled an evening flight out of Memphis to Portland, Maine. Not Oregon, Maine. To begin another tour. He was about to start another tour. Now, I don't know if you saw him in those latter days, Elvis. He was 300 pounds.
Yeah, he's a large fella.
Yeah, it was bad. I mean, his sideburns were 2 inches wide. It didn't matter. Everybody still loved him. In the afternoon of March 16th, 1977, his fiancée, I did not realize he had been engaged to be married again, Ginger Alden, discovered him unresponsive on the bathroom floor of the Graceland mansion. Attempts to revive him failed, and he was pronounced dead at Baptist Memorial Hospital at 3:30 p.m. that afternoon at the tender age of 42. Within an hour, Jason, President Jimmy Carter comes on and issues a statement about how Elvis had done all of the things that he had done with the culture and the society of the United States of America. How about that? Graceland was flooded with thousands of people outside to view his open casket. Interesting.
Hmm.
I didn't know that. I knew that it probably was going to be. I mean, it was as I started the show up by saying, you talk to these old timers about seeing all these people faint. It is the one event that I can remember after a death where I have never seen more people cry than I did when Elvis Presley died.
Yeah.
The second time was when Lady Diana died.
Yeah, true.
But that Elvis deal in 1977, I'm telling you, every female that I come encountered with, and remember, I was only 8 years old, they were crying.
Yeah.
It's like the world had come to an end. Incredible. Autopsy. Now, of course, the Memphis medical examiner, Jerry Francisco, probably a good friend of Elvis, wanted Elvis to go out the right way, announced that the immediate cause of death was cardiac arrest, and declared, puts this in parentheses, drugs played no role in Presley's death.
Okay.
Obviously, that was not the facts. But for you to say it's cardiac arrest, it's not drugs, probably tells you it probably is drugs. You know, it's cardiac arrest. It wasn't smoking.
Yeah.
It's cardiac arrest. It wasn't drinking. It's cardiac arrest, Jason. It was not narcotics. It was not drugs. Okay. In fact, drugs was heavily implicated in Presley's death, as we now all know. Once again, how did we do today, Jason? Where are we at?
About 22 minutes.
Jeez. Man, there ain't no way I can do 10-minute shows.
You want to spit it out a little faster.
I feel like I rushed through Elvis Presley. Nevertheless, you can always find us at mx3.vip or on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@mx3podcast. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon of all of our new content, which comes out every Monday morning around 9 o'clock. Go down and hit the like part below our YouTube channel. And we're approaching 200,000 subscribers, Jason.
By the time this airs, it probably will be.
We're at a 199 plus right now. Until next time, continue to live your life the right way.